We're checking out the latest exhibit at the Great Park. It's all about the sport of skateboarding. Coming up on this edition of Irvine Scene. Here at the Great Park Gallery, there is a new exhibit that highlights the skateboarding culture and just how much of an influence it has had here in Southern California, dating back to the 1950s.
I've been a journalist most of my career, but I've never had the opportunity to do storytelling in the way, in the form of an exhibition.
Robert Brink, a skateboarder and writer who is well known in the skateboarding world, featured in publications of Thrasher, ESPN, and many more. Now curator of the New Normal skateboarding exhibition.
I wanted to focus on the new wave of women and LGBTQ skaters and skaters of color and adaptive skateboarders who've come to prominence in the last decade.
There are photographs throughout the gallery showcasing the diversity in the sport, bringing it to life. In the mid-2000s, Robert discovered adaptive skateboarding at the X Games and got involved.
The term adaptive means you have a permanent physical disability. And obviously, they adapt to skateboarding to make it work in ways that able-bodied skaters can't. What's fascinating to me about the adaptive skate community is that not only do they develop their own equipment in a lot of cases and help evolve the technology to help people skate, but they also, based on their disabilities, they also invent their own ways to skateboard. Some of them do it on their knees and they push with their hands. Some of them, use a prosthetic.
Another organization close to Robert's heart is A-Skate Foundation.
What they do is they hold clinics for children on the spectrum so that they can get together and experience skateboarding, and there's a lot of positive effects that people on the spectrum experience from riding a skateboard. So, I myself was diagnosed with autism 2019 maybe, when I was 43 years old. It was a total surprise, but it's been a really awesome, life-changing diagnosis and event for me.
The goal of this exhibit is for everyone attending to see themselves reflected here.
Because I wanted anyone who walked in the door to look at the wall and see someone that looks like them skateboarding, so that they'll be like, oh my God, I want to do that, I can do that, because that's where the inspiration comes from.
Slush Cult Fingerboard also part of this reception to bring fun by creating mini skate parks for families to enjoy.
Surprisingly, even though it's smaller, it's really the same physics, so you can kind of get the same endorphins of landing a cool trick. It's just without the risk of hurting yourself. You've got your two legs and you do the exact same movements as you would with your real legs, you just do it on a shrunken down scale version.
Here in the artist studio, there is an evolution of sorts as well. From the earliest board created out of wood and roller skate wheels in the 1950s to what is used today. Former Irvine Mayor Sally Ann Sheridan and her husband Don were part of the skateboarding scene back in the day. She was a commissioner in the 1970s and helped bring skateboarding to the community.
So we built a small skate park in University Park, which was a serpentine run with a bowl in the bottom, and it attracted people from all over Los Angeles and Orange County because it was such a unique thing.
She went on to become executive director of the International Skateboard Association, and that's where she met her future husband, who was also in the industry.
And when I put on competitions, the skateboard teams would have to register and pay and abide by the rules. And so he had a skateboard team that he had to bring and pay me, pay the fees to belong. And so we got to know each other over the competition.
Todd Huber, president of the Skateboarding Hall of Fame and Museum, is collaborating with the gallery. Many pieces from his museum are on display here.
It was like the torch got passed, not by me, but by their dad or whatever, their mom, because it was harder when I was a kid. My parents didn't skateboard. Now the parents see, oh wow, my son could maybe even make a living from this. You can make a living off being a skateboarder, and we didn't have that.
Filmmaker Brett Novak is an example of a skateboarder making a living off this sport. He travels all over the world to capture a moment and a feeling.
Probably the reason that I was invited into this is from its international aspect. To kind of help showcase how diverse skateboarding is, the scene of skateboarding, of how diverse it is. Once basically skateboarding wasn't just taking a piece of wood on roller skates down a hill, it entered into the realm of doing routines to music, very gymnastics heavy, very dance heavy. So before it became the streets and the handrails, that's what this was.
Everyone who skateboards contributes to the culture, right? So to have some of the pioneers come in and be stoked, and they get to see their old friends, and you know, they love to like tell their stories and like live their heyday again, and that's awesome, you know.
To check out this exhibit, you can go to their website for more information. For Irvine Scene, I'm Jacqueline Twegg.